The massive human ship Defiance moved slowly through the darkness of space. Its metal hull gleamed under the light of distant stars. Inside, Captain William Carter stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the main screen. "Hyperspace exit in 30 seconds," said the ship's computer. William nodded. This was humanity's first journey beyond their known space. The Defiance was Earth's most powerful warship, carrying 5,000 crew members and weapons that no human ship had ever used before. "Everyone ready?" William asked, looking at his officers. Lieutenant Olivia Reed checked her sensor screens. "All systems working, Captain." The ship had left Earth 2 weeks ago. Scientists had found strange symbols in ancient ruins on Mars. These symbols looked like star coordinates. After much debate, the United Earth government had decided to send the Defiance to see what was there. "Exiting hyperspace," announced the computer. The stars on the screen changed. The blue tunnel of hyperspace faded away. Normal space appeared around them. The Defiance had arrived at the edge of an unknown star system. "Where are we?" William asked. Olivia worked at her station. "It looks like we're at the edge of a star system with 7 planets. The 3rd planet shows signs of life." William nodded. "Any ships or signals?" "Nothing yet." But Olivia paused. Her face showed surprise. "Wait, I'm picking up multiple objects moving toward us. They're coming from the 4th planet." Communication Officer Daniel Wright spoke up. "Captain, I'm getting strange signals. They don't match any known human patterns." William felt his heart beat faster. This was it. First contact with alien life. "Put it on screen," he ordered. The main screen changed. It showed 10 small ships moving toward them. They had strange designs with curved hulls that looked like they were made of blue crystal. "They're beautiful," said Olivia. William agreed, but he was also careful. "Raise shields. Keep weapons on standby, but don't target them." The bridge grew quiet as the alien ships got closer. They moved in perfect formation, like they had practiced this many times. "Try to talk to them, Daniel," William said. Daniel nodded, sending standard greeting messages on all frequencies. Minutes passed. The alien ships continued to approach. Then more ships appeared on the sensors. "Captain," Olivia said, her voice tense. 20 more ships just appeared. "These are bigger, much bigger." William moved to her station. The sensor display showed large ships joining the smaller ones. One ship was almost as big as the Defiance. "Still no answer to our messages," Daniel said. William frowned. "Keep trying. Add visual signals too." Suddenly, Engineer Samantha Collins called from the engine room. "Captain, something's scanning us. It's going through our computer systems." Security Chief Frank Martinez spoke next. "Confirmed. Unknown technology is trying to access our systems. I'm blocking it, but it's very advanced." William returned to his chair. "All crew to alert positions. Daniel, keep trying to talk to them." The alien ships formed a circle around the Defiance. They kept their distance but clearly had the human ship surrounded. "Captain," Daniel said, excitement in his voice, "I'm getting something. I think it's a response." The main screen flickered. A face appeared. It wasn't human. The being had pale blue skin, large eyes without pupils, and no visible nose. When it spoke, its mouth barely moved. "Human vessel," the alien said in a deep voice. "You have entered the sovereign territory of the Galactic Concordat. Your presence violates 6 different space laws. Identify yourselves and prepare to be boarded." William stood up straight. "This is Captain William Carter of the Earth ship Defiance. We come in peace and had no knowledge of your territory or laws." The alien's eyes narrowed. "Ignorance is not an excuse, Captain. You will power down your ship and prepare for inspection. The High Council will decide your fate." William looked around at his crew. Their first journey beyond known space had just become much more complicated than anyone had expected. High Commander Zach Savol of the Ildari stood in the control room of his flagship. His four-fingered hands were clasped behind his back as he studied the image of the human vessel on the large screen. "Impossible," he muttered. The Ildari rarely showed surprise, but this was different. A Level 3 civilization should not have this technology. His second-in-command, Renlar, moved closer. "The scans confirm it, Commander. Their ship has weapons that match some of our own. And their shield technology. It is unlike anything we have seen." Zach's full skin changed from pale blue to a deeper shade, showing his concern. The Galactic Concordat had ruled this sector for over 3,000 years. They controlled thousands of worlds through their superior technology and careful political control. The Ildari led the Concordat, with 6 other species serving on the council. "Call the council," Zaxvol ordered. "They must be informed immediately." On the human ship Defiance, engineer Samantha Collins worked frantically at her station. Sweat ran down her face as her fingers flew across the control panel. "They're still scanning us," she reported to Captain William. "I've never seen anything like it. Their scans are going through our shields like they aren't even there." Security Chief Frank Martinez nodded grimly. "If they can scan us this easily, they might be able to disable our systems just as easily." William's face was serious. "Keep trying to block them. We need to buy time." On the main screen, the alien who had identified himself as a representative of the Galactic Concordat was still waiting for their response. The alien's face showed no emotion, but the message was clear: submit or face consequences. "Daniel," William said to his communications officer, "tell them we need time to discuss their request. Ask them for information about their laws and protocols." Daniel nodded and began transmitting the message. Meanwhile, in the Grand Council chamber of the Concordat's main station, the 7 council members gathered around a circular table. Holograms of the human ship floated above them. "They should be destroyed immediately," said Council Member Tyrelek of the Vexeri species. His reptilian face showed anger. "They are clearly dangerous. We should study them first," argued Council Member Laraven of the Solari. "Their technology could be useful to us." Zaxvol listened to the debate with growing concern. The Concordat had kept peace in this sector by controlling all advanced technology. They decided which species could advance and which should be kept primitive. Humans were not supposed to have this level of technology for at least another 500 years. Back on the Defiance, communications specialist Kelly Peterson made a discovery. She called Captain William over to her station. "Captain, I've been analyzing their transmission signals," she said quietly. "They're using an advanced encryption, but I've found a pattern. I think I can break into their communications." William nodded. "Do it. We need every advantage we can get." Kelly worked on her console, her eyes focused on the code scrolling across her screen. After several minutes, she smiled. "I've got it. I can hear their internal communications now." She turned up the volume. Strange alien voices filled the bridge, speaking in an unknown language. But the ship's computer was already working to translate. "They're talking about us," Kelly said as words began to appear on her screen. They're debating whether to destroy us or capture us." William's face hardened. "Keep listening. I want to know what we're dealing with." Frank Martinez approached the captain. "Sir, I've analyzed their ship positions. They've surrounded us completely. If we try to run, they'll attack." William nodded slowly. "Then we won't run. Not yet." He turned to Olivia at the sensor station. "What can you tell me about their weapons?" "They have energy weapons similar to ours," she replied. "But there's something else. Some kind of technology I can't identify." William looked at the alien ships on the screen. The Defiance was far from home, surrounded by unknown enemies, but he had a duty to his crew and to Earth. "Send a message to all crew," he ordered. "Battle stations. We're not giving up our ship without a fight." Captain William took a deep breath before speaking to the alien commander. The bridge of the Defiance was quiet as everyone watched the main screen. "This is Captain William Carter of Earth," he said firmly. We have no desire for conflict. We are explorers who followed ancient coordinates found on our neighboring planet. We did not know this space belonged to anyone. The blue-skinned alien, High Commander Zaxvol, stared back through the screen. His large eyes blinked slowly. Ignorance of our laws does not excuse breaking them, Zaxvol replied. The Galactic Concordat has ruled these sectors for 3,000 years. All space travel is regulated. All technology is monitored. Your very ship violates our most basic laws. William tried to stay calm. Then let us learn your laws. We come from Earth, a free world. We are willing to talk and find a peaceful solution. The alien commander seemed to consider this. You will power down your weapons and allow a team to board your vessel. They will inspect your technology and decide what must be done. Daniel, the communications officer, muted their side of the conversation. Captain, I don't think we should let them board. If Kelly's translations are correct, they might just want to study our technology and then destroy us anyway. William nodded. I agree. He signaled for Daniel to unmute. Commander Zaxvol, we cannot allow unknown forces to board our vessel. We propose a neutral meeting place where representatives can discuss terms. The alien's skin darkened. You are not in a position to negotiate, human. The screen went dark. Kelly Peterson worked quickly at her station. Captain, I'm intercepting their internal communications again. They're positioning ships for an attack. Olivia confirmed from her sensor readings. 3 of their destroyers are moving into offensive formation. William's face hardened. All crew prepare for possible attack. Shields at maximum. Charge main weapons but hold fire until my command. In the Concordat Council chamber, Zaxvol faced angry questions from the other members. Why are you talking to them at all? Demanded Tyrelek, the reptilian counselor. They should have been destroyed the moment they entered our space. We know nothing about them, Zaxvol replied. Their technology is advanced. We should learn what we can before taking action. Our scans show their weapons could damage our ships, said Laraven of the Solari. That should not be possible for such a young species. Another counselor, Drakon of the Vesh, spoke up. His voice was deep and rumbling. There is something else. Look at these energy readings from their ship. They match the ancient ruins we found in the Forbidden Sector. The council chamber went silent. The Forbidden Sector contained ruins from a civilization that had challenged the Concordat thousands of years ago. A civilization that had nearly won. Impossible, whispered Zaxvol. That civilization was destroyed. We made sure of it. Perhaps not completely, said Drakon. Perhaps these humans are their descendants. On the Defiance, engineer Samantha Collins reported from the engine room. Captain, I've analyzed their scan technology. They were looking at our hyperspace drive. I think they're surprised by it. Can they disable it? William asked. I don't think so, Samantha replied. Our drive technology is different from theirs. It seems to work on principles they don't fully understand. Frank Martinez, the security chief, stepped forward. Captain, if they attack, what are your orders? William looked at the tactical display, showing the alien ships surrounding them. If they fire first, target their weapon systems only. Disable, don't destroy. I want to show them we could fight but would rather talk. Kelly suddenly called out, Captain, the 3 ships moving into attack position have powered up weapons. All hands, brace for impact, William ordered. Shields at maximum power. The bridge crew tensed as they watched the alien destroyers on the screen. The moment of truth had arrived. With the Defiance's technology hold against the weapons of the Galactic Concordat, the fate of the ship and possibly Earth itself hung in the balance. Bright blue energy beams shot from the 3 alien destroyers. They hit the Defiance's shields, which glowed bright white on impact. The human ship shook violently. Shields holding at 87%. Olivia reported from her station. Her voice was calm despite the danger. William gripped the arms of his command chair. Target their weapon systems. Fire when ready. Weapons Officer Jack Monroe nodded. His fingers moved quickly across his control panel. Targeting weapons only, Captain. Firing now. The Defiance fired back. Red beams of energy shot toward the alien ships with perfect accuracy. The first hit the lead destroyer's main weapon. The second and third beams hit the weapon systems of the other two ships. On the bridge of the Concordat flagship, High Commander Zaxvol watched in shock. How do they target our weapons so precisely? And with their first shot. His second-in-command, Renlar, looked equally surprised. Commander, all 3 destroyers report weapons systems disabled. No other damage. The human ship, it showed restraint. Zaxvol's skin changed color again, this time to a pale yellow of confusion. They could have destroyed our ships. Why didn't they? Back on the Defiance, William watched the alien ships carefully. Status report. Enemy weapons are offline, Jack reported. They're pulling back. Our shields are regenerating, Olivia added. Back to 92% and rising. William nodded. Keep watching them. They might have other tricks. In the science lab, Dr. Laura Wilson worked quickly. The ship's science officer had been studying the alien signals since they first appeared. Now she called the bridge with excitement in her voice. Captain, I've made a breakthrough with their language patterns, she said. Our computer can now translate their communications much better. And I found something in their database. Something about humans. William was surprised. What about humans? They've never met us before. That's what's strange, Laura replied. According to their records, humans are mentioned in ancient texts. They call us the Destroyers. Silence fell on the bridge. William thought about this. Transfer that information to my screen. I want to see it. Meanwhile, in the Concordat Council chamber, the debate had turned heated. This is unprecedented, shouted Tyrelek. They damaged 3 of our ships in seconds. But they showed restraint, noted Luraven. They only targeted weapons. They could have destroyed the ships entirely. Zaxvol raised his hand for silence. The question is why? Why would they show mercy when they clearly have the power to fight? Drakan, the oldest council member, spoke slowly. Perhaps they are not like the ancestors we fear they might be, or perhaps they have evolved beyond them. It doesn't matter, insisted Tyrelek. We should gather our full fleet and destroy them now, before they can call for reinforcements. And if they have more ships like this one? Asked Luraven. If they have a fleet of dreadnoughts waiting to jump into our space, we might start a war we cannot win. On the Defiance, William read the translated text from the alien database. His face grew serious as he understood the implications. According to this, he said to his officers, an ancient spacefaring civilization challenged the Concordat's rule thousands of years ago. The Concordat calls them the Destroyers because they nearly broke the Concordat's power. The physical description matches humans. But that's impossible, said Daniel. Humans weren't in space thousands of years ago. Unless our history is incomplete, William replied. The ruins on Mars where we found these coordinates, they might be much more important than we thought. Suddenly, Kelly called out from her station. Captain, multiple new ships appearing on long-range sensors. They're running from something. Olivia confirmed the readings. 7 small ships, approaching fast. They're being chased by 2 Concordat cruisers. William made a quick decision. Move to intercept. Let's see what's happening. The Defiance's engines hummed with power as the massive human ship moved to meet the approaching vessels, headed toward a conflict that was growing more complex by the minute. The Defiance moved quickly to intercept the 7 small ships running from the Concordat cruisers. Captain William watched on the main screen as the distance closed. Those small ships are taking heavy fire, Olivia reported. Their shields are failing. William made a quick decision. Position us between them and the Concordat cruisers. Open a channel to the lead small ship. Daniel worked at his station. Channel open, Captain. This is Captain William Carter of the Earth ship Defiance. We offer assistance. What is your situation? The screen flickered, then showed a thin, gray-skinned alien. It had large, dark eyes and spoke in a high-pitched voice that the ship's computer quickly translated. I am Krell of the Novan Alliance. We thank you for your aid. The Concordat hunts us because we seek freedom. What is the Novan Alliance? William asked. We are the Resistance, Krell replied. For centuries, we have fought against Concordat rule. Many species join us, but we are small. We hide. We fight when we can. As they talked, the Concordat cruisers continued approaching. Jack reported, enemy cruisers are charging weapons, Captain. William nodded. Warn them off. Tell them any attack on these ships will be considered an attack on us. Daniel sent the message. Moments later, the Concordat cruisers slowed, then stopped their pursuit. They're holding position, Olivia confirmed, but they're calling for reinforcements. William turned back to the screen. Krell, we need to move quickly. Can your ships dock with ours for repairs? Krell nodded. Yes. Thank you. William ordered, open docking bays 3 through 9. Security teams on standby, but peaceful welcome protocols. An hour later, William met with Krell and other Novan Alliance leaders in the Defiance's conference room. Professor Alan Hughes, the ship's historian, joined them. Krell looked around in wonder. Your ship is incredible. Nothing like it has been seen in this sector for thousands of years. That's what we need to understand, William said. Your pursuers, the Concordat, they have records calling humans the Destroyers. What does that mean? Another alien, taller with blue-green scales, spoke up. I am Varric. I study ancient history. The texts speak of a great war long ago. A powerful species challenged the early Concordat. They nearly won. The Concordat calls them the Destroyers. Professor Hughes showed images from the Mars ruins. We found these coordinates in ancient structures on our neighboring planet. The symbols match nothing from Earth's history. Krell and Varric exchanged shocked looks. These are destroyer symbols, Varric said. Without doubt. William leaned forward. Are you saying humans are descendants of these destroyers? It seems likely, Krell replied. The physical similarities are clear. Your technology, too. The way your weapons work. It is like the ancient descriptions. Professor Hughes looked thoughtful. Earth has mysterious gaps in our archaeological record. Periods where advanced civilizations seem to appear and disappear suddenly. The war with the Concordat happened 20,000 years ago, Varric explained. The destroyers lost. Their homeworld was hidden. Perhaps your Earth is that world, forgotten and rediscovered. Meanwhile, in the engine room, engineer Samantha Collins worked with Novan engineers. They compared technology and discovered surprising similarities. It's like our systems evolved separately, but from the same starting point, Samantha told William over the communicator. We can integrate some of their technology with ours. On the bridge, Kelly interrupted with urgent news. Captain, I'm picking up massive fleet movements. The Concordat is gathering ships from across the sector. Olivia confirmed. Long-range sensors show at least 30 warships heading our way. Estimated arrival in 6 hours. Krell looked grave. They fear you. The return of the destroyers would change everything. Many worlds would rise up if they knew. William stood up. The situation was becoming clear. His ship had stumbled into an ancient conflict. And now, the Defiance had become a symbol of hope for the oppressed species of this sector. If we retreat and make repairs, where can we go? He asked Krell. I know a place, Krell replied. A hidden base where we can plan our next move. The Concordat has a weapon facility nearby, one we've tried to destroy for years. William nodded. Show us the way. The Defiance hid behind a large moon in the Tauran system. The massive shipyard that Krell had told them about was visible in the distance. Captain William studied the facility on the main screen. That's the largest structure I've ever seen, he said quietly. Krell nodded. The Concordat builds their most powerful weapons there. Our spies tell us they are making something that can close hyperspace routes permanently. William understood immediately. They could cut Earth off from the rest of the galaxy. Exactly, Krell replied. They fear you will bring more ships, more humans. William gathered his senior officers to make a plan. They needed information about the weapon. Security Chief Franks suggested a small team could sneak in. We can't risk the whole ship, Frank explained, but a small team might get inside and find the data we need. Special Operations Officer Nickel Green stepped forward. My team can do this, Captain. We're trained for covert missions. I Specialist Paul Edwards had an idea. The facility uses maintenance drones. I've studied their signals. I think I can reprogram some of our smaller robots to look like their drones. William approved the plan. Hours later, Nickel and her team of 6 prepared to leave. They would ride inside the reprogrammed robots that looked exactly like Concordat maintenance drones. Paul explained the plan. The drones will carry you to the central data hub. Once inside, download everything you can about the weapon. Then get out fast. Nicole nodded. We'll be quick and quiet. The 6 drones launched from the Defiance and headed toward the massive shipyard. Everyone on the bridge watched nervously as the small dots moved across the screen. They're approaching the outer security zone, Olivia reported. If they're detected now. But the drones passed through without alarm. Paul's programming was working perfectly. The drones looked just like hundreds of others moving around the facility. Inside one of the drones, Nicole watched through a small screen. The shipyard was enormous. Thousands of alien workers moved through huge construction areas. In the center was a massive device shaped like a ring. That must be the weapon, she whispered to her team. It's bigger than I expected. The drones continued toward the central hub. They entered a large building and moved down a long corridor. Finally, they reached a room filled with computer terminals. Nicole and her team carefully got out of the drones. They moved quickly to the terminals and began downloading data. So far, no one had noticed them. Hurry, Nicole told her team. We don't have much time. As they worked, Nicole heard sounds from a nearby room. She signaled 2 of her team to investigate. They returned minutes later with shocked faces. You need to see this, one of them said. Nicole followed them to the room. Inside were dozens of cells. Each cell held aliens of different species. They looked thin and tired. Prisoners, Nicole realized. The Concordat uses slave labor. One prisoner saw them and moved to the front of his cell. He had pale skin and 4 arms. You are not Concordat, he said in a surprised voice. We're humans, Nicole replied. From Earth. The prisoner's eyes widened. The prophesied return. It's true. Nicole made a quick decision. We're leaving soon. We can take some of you with us. The prisoner introduced himself as Trell, a scientist who had been captured 3 years ago. I know how their weapon works, he said. I helped build it before I tried to sabotage it. Meanwhile, on the Concordat flagship, High Commander Zach Sboll received urgent news. The human ship has disappeared from our sensors, an officer reported, and there's unusual activity at the Torin shipyard. Zach Sboll felt a cold fear. Send all available ships to the shipyard immediately and contact the facility. Tell them to check every drone, every worker. The humans might be there already. Back at the shipyard, Nicole's team finished downloading the data. They had also released Trell and 5 other prisoners. Now they needed to get back to their drones and escape before the alarm was raised. Time to go, Nicole told everyone. Stay close and move fast. Alarms blared throughout the Concordat shipyard. Red lights flashed in every corridor. Nicole and her team ran toward their drones, with the 6 freed prisoners close behind. They know we're here, Nicole said into her communicator. Captain, we need extraction. On the Defiance, William received the message. Olivia, move us closer to the shipyard. Jack, Prepare to provide cover fire if needed. The massive human ship moved out from behind the moon. Its engines glowed bright blue as it approached the shipyard. Inside the facility, Nichols' team reached their drones, but the small robots could not carry the additional prisoners. "We need another way out," Nichol told her team. She turned to Trell, the scientist. "Is there a shuttle bay nearby?" Trell nodded. "Yes, this way." They followed him down a side corridor. Behind them, they could hear shouts and running footsteps. Concordat security forces were closing in. "How much farther?" Nichol asked as they ran. "Just ahead," Trell replied. They turned a corner and entered a large room filled with small shuttles. Trell ran to one and quickly opened the door. "This one has a full fuel cell." Nichols' team and the prisoners piled into the shuttle. One of Nichols' team members, who had been studying alien technology, figured out the controls. "I can fly this," he said. "But the bay doors are closed." Nichol pointed her weapon at the control panel near the door. Not for long. She fired, and the panel exploded in sparks. The large bay doors began to open slowly. Concordat guards rushed into the room, firing energy weapons. "Take off now," Nichols shouted. The shuttle lifted off the floor. It shot forward through the partially open doors, scraping the sides as it squeezed through. On the Defiance, Olivia called out, "Captain, I'm detecting a small shuttle leaving the shipyard. It's being chased by 4 Concordat fighters." "That's our team," William said. "Jack, target those fighters. Disable them." The Defiance fired precise shots, hitting the engines of the Concordat fighters. The small ships spun out of control, unable to continue pursuit. The shuttle reached the Defiance and landed safely in the docking bay. William went to meet them. Nichol and her team stepped out, along with the freed prisoners. "Mission accomplished, Captain," Nichol reported with a smile. "We got the data and found some friends." William welcomed the freed prisoners. Trell stepped forward. "I am Trell, former lead scientist on the hyperspace weapon. I can help you defeat it." Meanwhile, across the sector, word spread quickly about the human ship that had challenged the Concordat. Kelly, the communications officer, reported to William. "Captain, we're picking up increased chatter across all frequencies. The Concordat is trying to suppress information about us, but they can't contain it." Kelly had discovered a way to bypass the Concordat's communication filters. "I can broadcast a message that will reach every world in this sector. They won't be able to block it." William thought for a moment. This was a chance to turn the tide. "Prepare a message," he told Kelly. "Tell everyone that the Defiance stands against Concordat oppression. Tell them about the prisoners we freed. Tell them about the weapon the Concordat is building." Kelly nodded and began to work. Hours later, the broadcast went out. Billions of beings across hundreds of worlds heard the human message. On planets long oppressed by the Concordat, people looked up at the stars with new hope. On one such world, a group of resistance fighters listened to the message. Their leader, a tall female alien with silver skin, turned to her companions. "It's time," she said. "The humans have returned. The prophecy is fulfilled." Back on the Defiance, William received reports from across the sector. "Ships are coming, Captain," Olivia said with excitement. "Dozens of them. Small ships from different worlds. They're all heading here." William looked at the tactical display. Small dots were moving toward their position from all directions. The Novan Alliance was growing stronger by the hour. "The Concordat fleet is also approaching," Frank warned. "They'll be here soon." William nodded. "Then we better be ready. This fight is just beginning." Space around the Defiance filled with ships. Some were small and fast. Others were old but powerful. They came from dozens of worlds across the sector. All had one thing in common. They opposed Concordat rule. William stood on the bridge of the Defiance, looking at the tactical display. 73 ships had joined them so far. It was an impressive fleet. But the Concordat force heading their way was larger. Much larger. 120 Concordat warships detected, Olivia reported. They'll be here in 30 minutes. William turned to Trell, who now served as an advisor. Is the hyperspace weapon operational? Not yet, Trell replied. But it's close. If they activate it during the battle, they could trap us all here. Engineer Samantha had been working with Trell and other alien engineers. She called the bridge. Captain, we've integrated some of the Novan technology with ours. Our shields are 20% stronger now. William nodded. Good work. What about the plan to disrupt their weapon? We're ready, Samantha confirmed. If we can get close enough to the shipyard, we can send the signal that will overload their systems. William called a meeting with the captains of the Allied ships. They appeared on screens around the conference room. Each looked different, but all were determined to fight. The Concordat fleet will arrive soon, William told them. We'll face them together. While we keep them busy, the Defiance will break through and head for the shipyard. We must stop that weapon. The alien captains agreed. The plan was set. As the Concordat fleet appeared, the Alliance ships formed a defensive line. The Defiance stayed in the center, its weapons ready. High Commander Zaxvol stood on his flagship, watching the rebel fleet with disbelief. So many traitors, he said bitterly, all because of one human ship. The humans have given them hope, Renla replied. Something we tried to eliminate long ago. Zaxvol's skin darkened with anger. Begin the attack. Destroy them all. The Concordat ships moved forward in perfect formation. Their weapons fired in unison. The rebel line took the hits, their shields flaring bright. Return fire, William ordered. The rebel ships fired back. The Defiance's weapons tore through the shields of 3 Concordat cruisers, disabling them instantly. As the battle raged, William watched for an opening. There, he said, pointing to a gap in the enemy line. Full speed ahead. Break through now. The Defiance surged forward, its engines pushing to maximum power. It smashed through the weakened part of the Concordat line. Several enemy ships tried to follow, but the rebel allies blocked their path. The human Dreadnought raced toward the shipyard. On the bridge, Kelly made an important discovery. Captain, I've broken into their command network, she reported. I can send false orders to their ships. William smiled. Tell half their fleet to move to the wrong coordinates. Kelly sent the fake orders. On their screens, they watched as 30 Concordat ships suddenly changed course, heading away from the battle. It worked, Kelly exclaimed. The Defiance reached the shipyard. The massive weapon was now visible, its ring structure glowing with energy. They're activating it, Trell warned. We have minutes at most. Send the disruption signal, William ordered. Samantha and Paul transmitted the signal they had prepared. It carried a virus designed by Trell that would overload the weapon's control systems. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the ring structure began to flicker. Sparks flew from its surface. Suddenly, a series of explosions rippled across it. It's working, Trell said. The weapon is failing. On his flagship, Zaxvol received the terrible news. The weapon is destroyed. How is this possible? More reports flooded in. His ships were in disarray, following contradictory orders. The rebel fleet had broken through their lines, and the human Dreadnought had proven more powerful than anyone had expected. Commander, Renlar said quietly, perhaps it is time to consider negotiation. Zaxvol looked at the battle display. Centuries of Concordat control were ending before his eyes. Open a channel to the human ship, he said finally. On the Defiance, William received the message. The Concordat wishes to discuss terms, Daniel reported. William looked around at his crew, then at the screens showing their alien allies. Tell them we're ready to talk, not as rulers and subjects, but as equals. The battle slowly died down as ships from both sides ceased fire. A new chapter had begun for this sector of space. The human Dreadnought had brought chaos to the Galactic Overlords, but from that chaos would come freedom.